It's Kevin McCullough on AM 970, The Answer.
You're listening to Kevin McCullough Radio, talking about breaking news as it happens, what it means, and why it matters.
Kevin McCullough, and here we go.
Obliterating confusion,
Amplifying truth,
and pursuing clarity.
Kevin McCullough, now.
It's Monday. The money markets are back open. What does any of it look like, and what does it mean? We'll talk to David Fisher. Plus, did Assault Gate turn into Apology Gate on Capitol Hill? It's beginning to look like that. We'll discuss. But we start with some chess and some lawsuits in the nation's capital and what it all means with Kayleigh McEnany. Stay with us.
Binge thinking.
Kevin McCullough.
Something interesting is happening with this.
Kevin McCullough, let me start with you.
I found this thing at townhall.com by Kevin McCullough.
The big dog
He's come out of nowhere.
Kevin McCullough,
I just want to help people think.
nationally syndicated radio host and author of No He Can't.
He's playing the role as well as anybody could.
Kevin McCullough is a nationally syndicated radio host and author of No He Can't.
The odds are he's right.
It's Kevin McCullough Radio.
I think the president's on good ground here to appoint somebody under the vacancy statute. So I hope it's Mick Mulvaney, and I hope he'll ride herd on these folks.
All right, so that is, in fact, Senator Lindsey Graham of South Carolina, and that is, in fact, what President Trump did. And what we're talking about is at the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, where his pick to lead that bureau, Mr. Mulvaney, Mick Mulvaney, has already issued a memo to the staffers there saying they are to disregard any directives from Leandra English, who is the acting director by the outgoing Obama-appointed head of the Bureau. Okay, what does the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau do? Why is it important? Why do you care? Let's turn to the RNC spokesperson, Kayleigh McEnany, who rejoins us. And, Kayleigh, there's two elements to this because I guess Leandra English has also filed a lawsuit to try to stop the president's what appears to be very lawful vacancy appointment. And okay, so we're a little bit in the weeds for people that don't follow politics closely. So first of all, a vacancy appointment, they're trying to say that President Trump doesn't have the right to make this appointment. What is your understanding of that?
Well, and the president undoubtedly does have a right to make this appointment. Don't take it from me. Take it from the Office of Legal Counsel, which has said this consistently over time. Take it from the Obama administration, which maintained over time that the president could appoint an acting individual. That's a position the Obama administration took in litigation. And look further than that. Look at the general counsel, Mary McCullough, of CFPB. She's the general counsel of this organization, appointed during the Obama era, and she actually sided with the president and said the president does have the right to do this. And
I think it's important to point out that as a vacancy appointment, there's no Senate confirmation that's required. So it doesn't have to go through any other further process other than the president said it, he's in, boom, that's done.
That's exactly right. And what's at issue are there are two conflicting statutes. Basically, Dodd-Frank, which is a more recent statute, says that, in the event that there isn't a director at the top, the deputy director will serve as the acting director in the interim. But what supersedes that statute is something called the Vacancies Act, and that allows the president, when there is a vacancy, when there is an absence, to appoint someone in the interim. It's really important, that statute, and it's one that gives the president really the constitutional authority to appoint a replacement for Richard Cordray. So, this is a big deal. It's one that the president did lawfully, but of course you're going to have obstructionists, and it's sad to see that obstructionist of the constitutional system and order.
We're speaking with Kayleigh McEnany of the RNC, and the issue of the day on this is that the president made this vacancy appointment, and there has been, I guess, Kayleigh, some dissatisfaction. You could hear it in Lindsey Graham's voice in that opening cut with how the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau has operated. Maybe touch on a little bit about why that is such the case on Capitol Hill and what the president's appointment really needs to do. Lindsey's words, I think, were he needs to knock heads or something along those lines. He needs to really hold their feet to the fire. What's going on over there? Why is it such a mess?
Yeah, it is a mess. And guys like Jeb Henserling have been out there saying this, that, this is an entity that's supposed to help consumers and protect consumers, but instead they've been hurting them through extreme overregulation, burdensome rulemaking process that make the cost of goods higher. They create economic loss. And what to me, more than just the overregulation, to me what's really just discouraging to see is you have a president who was elected by the American people, who, has unilaterally rescinded 860 regulations. This is someone the American people put in place because they believed in his vision of how government should work. But while he's doing this, you have the Consumer Protection Bureau, Financial Protection Bureau, and imposing more rules. So you have this entity, an arm of the federal government, undercutting the sitting president, and it's an Obama holdover who was there. And, that's not what the American people said. That's not their voice as they said it on November 8th. You shouldn't have a rogue agency undercutting the president of the United States voted into office by the American people.
Well, and I don't think that reasonable people can disagree with that, but this has been a pattern that we have seen across many departments of the administration, because I think a lot of the problems that Jeff Sessions has faced at Justice has been related to the fact that there are a lot of Obama holdovers. I mean, the fact that the president hasn't been able to get as many people in place as he would probably have liked to by now has really injured his ability to get the machine of government working again.
That's right. There hasn't been an acceptance of the fact that Donald Trump became president of the United States, and we are going to honor the will of the people. Instead of making that conclusion, even if you didn't agree, even if that's not how you voted, we're seeing obstructionism, and it's dangerous to our democracy and to our constitutional order to have, holding over his appointments at a historically slow pace, not bringing them up for votes. Having a rogue agency, having the deep state, that's a real thing within a lot of these organizations. You mentioned the Justice Department, FBI, folks who have been career government appointees, or if not appointees, just career government workers, obstructing the leadership from the top, which was ordained by the people.
Well, I'm hopeful that the incoming director will be able to begin cleaning things up. Now, as it pertains to the lawsuit, how does this happen? They file it in a local court, and then, what's the timeline on something like this?
Well, I would think with a situation like this, where you have, it's crazy to say, but you have the legitimate acting director, you have Mick Mulvaney in the building. At the same time, you have this English woman in the building trying to act as director. You have these two vying forces. In a situation like this, where there's just, obviously it can't work, they'll rush to judgment, I would think, and I would hope. A lot of times we see these lawsuits linger through the court systems and appeals, but with something like this, they'll probably rush the agenda on this, or if nothing else, grant an emergency stay or something that would at least resolve the fact that you have two folks in the same building, both, acting as the director.
So that's just crazy. It's like two people are trying to show up in the general manager's office at the radio station to run the station for the day. Where do they physically put them? I mean, who has, one of them should take the keys away from the other one.
That's right. And let's be clear, Mick Mulvaney is the director.
Right.
And that's, as I went through all of the legal precedent for that, the Ninth Circuit, ruled on this last year and basically said, Dodd-Frank doesn't take precedence over a statute like the Vacancy Act. There is precedent for this. And instead you have this woman showing up and acting as the acting director when she's not, sending out emails while you have Mick Mulvaney in an office preparing to actually serve as director in a legitimate fashion.
Well, if you get the Ninth Circuit on the right side of any legal case, that's a record day in and of itself. So I mean,
that's right.
for them to come down on the actual right side of something and to be in continuity with other rulings, it just seems to me that these Obama appointees have really done all that they could to just try to, it's like guerrilla warfare. It's like what happened at the end of the Vietnam War. It's like people they've taken to the trees and the shrubs to try to just do as much damage as they can on their way out.
That's right. It's resistance. That is apparently the playbook of the Democratic Party and the left and career bureaucrats. It's resistance. It's not a positive agenda. It's not trying to work with President Trump in areas where there are agreement. It's just complete resistance and really just an orchestrated takedown effort against this administration. The American people apparently don't know best in the eyes of many of these Obama holdovers, and that's an unfortunate state of affairs.
Well, it's going to be interesting to see what happens. Hey, while I've still got you for another second here, what's going to happen with tax cuts between now and the end of the year? And are we going to get tax legislation signed by the president in 2017?
We're optimistic that we'll have that by Christmas. I know the Senate is looking at voting, as early as this week. So, it's just a matter of getting, those one or two last few senators on board. And then, we're in business and we'll have, tax reform and tax cuts like we haven't seen in a generation. It's exciting. It's going to happen. And, the question is, not if, but when. And we're hoping that when is before Christmas.
Now, I hope that they get that done and they get that to the reconciliation table and they get the president's signature on it. It'd be fun to see. Hey, Kayleigh McEnany, thanks for being with us. Appreciate it. Congratulations on your recent nuptials, and we wish you well on that part of life as well. And come on back to Kevin McCullough Radio.
Thanks, Kevin. Anytime.
All right. Coming up, we've got a lot of breaking news to get to. Lots of stuff from today, including a look at the markets before we're all done. Don't go away.
Stuck in traffic? We've got the answer.
It's a rough ride here on both sides of the Cross Bronx Expressway. On the westbound side, we're jammed out of the Bruckner, right across to the George Washington Bridge. Eastbound, we're heavy off the bridge, right out towards the area of the Bronx River Parkway. Deacon northbound slows RFK Triborough Bridge right up towards the Cross Bronx. Southbound from the southern tip of Van Cortlandt Park right on down to the Cross Bronx is where you'll find the brake lights. Northbound FDR Drive delays start right around 34th Street and take us up to the RFK Triborough Bridge. Then a short break. Then we're slow 155th right up to the GW Bridge on the Harlem River Drive. Southbound we're slow from 70s down into the 30s. Northbound West Side Highway, that's a slow ride as you go north of 96th Street right up to the George Washington Bridge. But overall, I do think the West Side is better. And you can specifically grab Riverside Drive. That'll save you even more time. About 20 to 30 minutes back to New Jersey at the Holland Tunnel, 15 on the city-bound side. Lincoln Tunnel, about 20 minutes on either side of the Hudson. Outbound upper-level George Washington Bridge, right lane, just about mid-span. There's a broken-down dump truck in that right lane. And now you know how not to go. I am Mike Barker on AM 970, The Answer.
Jay Sekulow is always fighting for justice.
This has been an issue we've been on since the very beginning. The FBI is seeking Senate documents, which is signaling a possible probe into the Planned Parenthood sale of fetal body parts. It's a big development because we have a case pending at the Supreme Court of the United States right now involving that very issue of the sale of body parts by Planned Parenthood.
Jay Sekulow Live, weeknights at 6, right before Larry Elder at 7 on AM 970, The Answer.
Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies.
I have a $1,200 knee brace because I have bone on bone in my left knee, and I have a torn cartilage in my right knee. And since I've been taking Balance of Nature, I don't wear my brace, and I can walk without pain. It's I had these copper things I used to put on my knees. I don't use those either. I don't use anything. I think it's just wonderful.
What are you waiting for? Good health is only a phone call away. Don't miss your opportunity to get a free month's supply of Balance of Nature. Call 1-800-2468-751. That's 1-800-2468-751. Call 1-800-2468-751. Or go online to balanceofnature.com.
Use promo code The Answer. That's promo code The Answer. Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies. Order today.
Finding the right holiday gift can be so stressful unless you're giving impressive, personalized, and unique gifts to your family, friends, and clients from Pompeii Gift Baskets, a family-owned business in New Jersey with a history of inspiring joy with delicious foods and drinks. Pompeii Gift Baskets specialize in providing a wide array of customizable gift baskets featuring luxury wines, champagnes, beer, coffee, tea, decadent snacks, chocolate truffles, cookies, and more. Wine and liquor bottles can even be engraved with a special message, photo, or logo. Basket themes are personalized and can range anywhere from from elegant and chic to masculine or sports themed. Go to PompeiGiftBaskets.com to create your custom order or call Daniela. She'll work within any budget to get your gift just right, down to including kosher options if needed. Delivery is available throughout the U.S., from single baskets or bottles to large corporate orders. To create your custom gift, call Pompei Gift Baskets at 888-272-0220. That's 888-272-0220. Or visit PompeiGiftBaskets.com. That's Pompei, Pompei, giftbaskets.com.
Lumber Liquidators Cyber Week flooring deals are going on now. Get a deal and get it done with easy-to-install laminate from just 59 cents. Or worry-proof your home for the holidays with waterproof engineered vinyl plank on sale. Buy online at lumberliquidators.com and get it delivered or pick up for free at your local store. Even get coupon savings on our best-selling hardwood floors. More deals from 49 cents and professional installation, plus special financing. Hurry, get to Lumber Liquidators today.
Listen to Joe Piscopo in the morning, weekdays at 6. Mike Gallagher at 10 on AM 970. The Answer. Breaking news as it happens. You're listening to Kevin McCullough Radio.
We are strengthened by due process. Just because someone is accused. And was it one accusation? Is it two? I think there has to be. John Conyers is an icon in our country.
Oh, okay. As long as you're an icon. Well, how could that not be the argument that Roy Moore supporters might make? Well, in Alabama, he's an icon. But forget due process. Well, since when is due process an issue? Actually, there's this incredible piece in the Federalist today. A woman I've never heard of before, Stella Morabito, I think is how you say her last name. The feeding frenzy that displays a society that is murdering due process. The title of her piece today. But anyway, I want to get some perspective on this because we also saw, well, a couple of things. We saw Al Franken come out and sort of apologize. I don't know what Al Franken ever actually says, he's very confusing to me. But also the reaction from yesterday's Talking Head shows. Dr. Gina Loudon is back with us. She is not only a political pundit for Fox News and also writes at foxnews.com, but you know that she's also twice pedigreed to be someone who deals in the area of psychology, and she's always examining human behavior on that level. And Dr. Gina, it's good to have you back. Thanks for being here. I hope you had a great Thanksgiving weekend.
Great to be with you. I hope that for you and your whole audience and team there as well.
Thank you. Let me go to Sunday morning yesterday. And again, this is, sexual assault gate. This is just an epidemic that has taken over our entire country, every area of industry, every area of public life. Everyone's doing it, evidently. But Nancy Pelosi goes on yesterday and says this about her colleague John Conyers in the Congress. Cut one.
We are strengthened by due process. Just because someone is accused, and was it one accusation? Is it two? I think there has to be. John Conyers is an icon in our country. He has done a great deal to protect women, Violence Against Women Act, which the right wing is now quoting me as praising him for his work on that, and he did great work on that. But the fact is, as John reviews his case, which he knows, which I don't, I believe he will do. I believe that he will. Excuse me, may I finish my sentence? Sure. That he will do the right thing.
And is the right thing what? Resign?
He will do the right thing in terms of what he knows about his situation, that he's entitled to due process, but women are entitled to due process as well.
Okay, so, and today, John Conyers steps away from being the ranking member of the Judiciary Committee, and the people rejoice. Dr. Gina, what do you hear in Nancy Pelosi's, is it a justification of why John Conyers doesn't need to undergo the same scrutiny as, say, a Roy Moore? What do you hear in Nancy Pelosi's argument there?
Well, this is the thing about the Democrat Party. Kevin, if they didn't have double standards, they'd have no standards at all. I cannot believe the comparison between the way they talked about accusations against our president when he was a candidate, accusations against Roy Moore, accusations against certain broadcast show hosts. I can't believe the way they were willing to just absolutely lock these people up and throw away the key and have them drawn and quartered if they could. And yet, when it's one of their own, suddenly if they're an icon, it's all excusable. I mean, who gets to constitute an icon, and who gets to forego due process because someone is named an icon? This is the inconsistency in the Democrat Party we have always seen. But let's not forget this. This is the party of Bill Clinton, of Anthony Weiner, right? I mean, of Al Franken. I mean, the list goes on, and you think about the crimes that they just slide underneath that rug and are willing to totally cover up. The American people, I meet people, you probably do, Kevin, too, every day who just, they've had enough and they've switched parties now.
Well, it's interesting about this, Dr. Gina, because as a woman, you obviously deal with the, unwanted sexual issue much more than I ever have. A bald-headed white guy that's, middle-aged. But the idea that is the working premise here is that we're always supposed to believe the women, and that it's not like a court of law, and that's what Stella's point in the Federalist is today, that the due process issue, we're just, in the public, we have just forgotten due process altogether and saying, well, we should just absolutely believe the women up front. But look what happens when a woman tries to speak up. This is Melanie Sloan, one of John Conyers' accusers, talking about how Conyers' staffers dealt with her following her revelation of what happened. Cut 7.
I spoke to somebody who worked at a major women's group and asked her to intercede on my behalf. And then eventually I even talked to a reporter, but then that reporter went back and talked to another staff member for Conyers at the time, trying to corroborate some of what I said. And that staff member, a woman, told him that I was mentally unstable. And so then he said, well, if you're mentally unstable, I can't do anything with this story. And as you can imagine, all of that was pretty disheartening. And so eventually I left.
So, Dr. Gina, where do we draw the line? When do we believe the woman and declare the man is automatically guilty, and when do we let the guy that's guilty just stay in office and kind of no matter what he does, he gets to stay there? Al Franken today saying he's not resigning and he doesn't think that anything he's done rises to that level.
I mean, we've seen the picture. I mean, the guy. The answer to your question, Kevin, is never. Due process has to take place. It cannot take place in the court of public opinion. We have got to stand up for the actual rule of law over and over, even when it's our own people who've, and you said it, I literally, I can't even name the number of times I've been put in the exact same positions that we're talking about with these women. It is very, very hard to talk about. It's not always advantageous to talk about. And so a lot of women don't. But I also know a lot of women who have accused wrongly, and I've counseled men who've been wrongly accused, and their lives have been destroyed, Kevin. So there is a very fine legal line that we have got to examine in every single case before passing judgment. And that's the end of the story. This cannot be tried in the court of public opinion. It can't be tried by our leftist double standard media, and it sure as heck can't be tried by Nancy Pelosi.
I just find it amazing that for all of the talk we've gotten from the left over the last 3 decades, that you've got Nancy Pelosi and fellow staffers of John Conyers and other people looking at Melanie Sloan, who came forward with Conyers, and they classify her as mentally unstable, but the icon's preserved. But you look at Roy Moore, who, all things equal, kind of the same side, opposite coin, and he's automatically the devil. It's so inconsistent, and until there is some sort of objective standard, you're not going to have the real truth about all of this. Anyway, Dr. Gina, I always appreciate your insights on this. Thanks for being with us today.
Thank you, Kevin. You know what? The Clintons need to apologize to those women. Thank you. God bless you guys.
Thank you. Dr. Gina, reader at foxnews.com, watcher on Fox News. I'm Kevin McCullough, coming right back.
News, opinion, passion. This is AM 970, The Answer.
We have clear skies and 49 degrees on this Monday evening. What's going on? We have the answer. Well, the Port Authority is urging post-holiday travelers to leave extra time getting to LaGuardia Airport following a massive traffic jam this morning. Sarah Lee Kessler has more on it.
It was a nightmare for people rushing to catch planes. Bumper-to-bumper traffic on highways leading to the airport. People jumping out of cars and cabs, dashing to airline terminals while dragging suitcases.
The traffic, the congestion, is terrible.
The traffic is really bad, and there was just like a lot going on. LaGuardia Airport got to do better.
PA officials admit ongoing construction at LaGuardia played a role in today's mess, but they're also blaming extra volume following the long Thanksgiving weekend. Sarah Lee Kessler, NBC News Radio, New York.
A brand new report shows New York City buses are the slowest in the nation among big cities. Scott Pringle has details.
City Comptroller Scott Stringer's report shows the average speed of an MTA bus in Manhattan has dropped to just 5.5 miles per hour.
You could almost walk quicker than take a bus.
And he blames uneven service on a system that hasn't been updated in decades.
Twice more buses run at 7 a.m. as they do at 7 p.m. And that fails the increasing number of New Yorkers who work nights or off-peak hours.
Stringer wants the routes redone. The MTA chairman, Joe Lota, he blames traffic congestion. Scott Pringle, NBC News Radio, New York.
In sports, Devils host the Panthers tonight at Prudential Center. Basketball, Knicks host the Trailblazers, and the Nets are in Houston. Taking a look at the traffic, outbound Holland Tunnel, a 30-minute delay, 10 to 15 on the city-bound side, and about 15 to 20 each way at the Lincoln Tunnel. Mostly clear skies tonight, overnight low 38, sunshine tomorrow, high 54, sunshine on Wednesday, high 56, partly cloudy on Thursday with a high of 51. And now you know what's going on. I am Mike Barker on AM 970, The Answer.
Have you ever wondered who the second person to discover gravity was? When you're in the mood for a treat, would you go to the second best bakery in town? Or how about the name John Breckenridge? Recognize it? If you don't, that's because he came in second to Abraham Lincoln. The firsts are first for a reason. Just how ID Stronghold was the first to create the technology to protect your credit cards from thieves with RFID chip scanners. ID Stronghold products block signals from those scanners, so thieves can't capture your critical data. Get a stronghold on your personal information and protect your family too. Don't settle for the second best wallet. Pick up ID Stronghold wallets for everyone on your list this holiday season. They're the perfect stocking stuffer, with leather wallets starting as low as $20 on Walmart.com, eBay, Amazon, and QVC. Save 10% by using coupon code GIFT for a limited time. That's coupon code GIFT only on IDStronghold.com. IDStronghold.com.
Are you among the millions of Americans who feel uncertain when it comes to their health care? We are happy to inform you that there is a solution, and that solution is Liberty Health Share. It's a community of like-minded people who work together to pay for their medical costs. You choose your doctor and hospital, starting at $107 a month for a single, up to $449 a month for a family. That's mom, dad, and all kids. For more info, visit libertyhealthshare.org. That's libertyhealthshare.org.
Mike Gallagher here again for one of my all-time, and I mean all-time favorite sponsors, ReliefFactor.com. My story is simple. I had a hip replaced, then I had a motorcycle accident, left me in pain, simply wouldn't go away until I started taking Relief Factor. A 3-week quick start is just $19.95. 80% of people who do order the 3-week quick start go on to order more, like me. Go to ReliefFactor.com, ReliefFactor.com, or give them a call. 800-500-8384, 800-500-8384, ReliefFactor.com.
Proving that he may be ready for prime time. Frank Morano. Sunday mornings at 4 on AM 970. The Answer. What you need to know when you need it. It's Kevin McCullough Radio.
All right, so the Columbus statue issue is still hot here in New York, and it has been. There's been this commission tour that's been going around and different meeting halls and people coming out and talking about whether or not we should take down the statues of Christopher Columbus and the mayor because he has no spine. And I don't think he has really any manhood to speak of. That hasn't been confirmed. But if he did, he'd just be able to stand up straight, which obviously he can't, and say to the people, we're not going to do this. We're not going to tear down Christopher Columbus, etc., and be done with it. No, he's got a commission to hold meetings and to go around and hear from people that may not be very pleased with the fact that this commission is up and running. Someone who has perspective on this is the minority whip for the city council for the city of New York, Joe Borelli, who successfully defended his city council seat in the recent elections, and we're glad to have him back with us. Councilman, thanks for being here. The next stop for the commission tour is your district tomorrow. Is it tomorrow that this is going down? And what do you expect will happen there?
So it is tomorrow at 10 a.m. at Borough Hall for those that are interested in St. George. And, I mean, the funny thing is we've almost become a parody of ourselves, in the sense that we're like the Jacobins of the 1790s and the Committee on Public Safety going around with these committees to tear down, works of art and statues. It's beyond crazy. But tomorrow I expect you'll hear from a number of Staten Islanders, almost all of them, will be in support of maintaining the public art that we have, the public art that we've always seen, the public art that we've always known. I actually think, with my political hat, that this commission is no more than just a way for Bill de Blasio to commission his way out of a hole he dug himself into. Because, frankly, he understands the politics. I don't think he wants to be the one responsible for tearing down the Christopher Columbus statue, especially that he fancies himself a president going to Iowa this week.
Well, and that'll be a whole other batch of issues that can be discussed. But, Joe, why did it get to this point? I mean, what was it about this issue at this point in time that the mayor felt that this was something he had to do instead of just saying, no, I thought about it, we're not doing that, moving on?
Well, because the left has become nothing more than a contest to outflank each other on the progressive side. So when someone had a rational, opinion about the legacy of slavery and how that's memorialized, it was fine. But when the next person came along and said, let's go further and tear down, every statue of people we revere, people like Bill de Blasio and Melissa Mark DiVerito just didn't have the political wherewithal or the political guts to just say, no, we're going to stop it where it is with some of the slavery discussions. And that's how we got to where we are today. And it's extremely unfortunate that this has dominated so much of the political news of New York City in the midst of a mayoral race, which frankly, should have been more focused on some of the issues that are affecting New Yorkers.
Yeah, and not to their criticism, because I think that for as it depended upon her, I think Nicole Maliotakis had a great slate of issues that she talked about at every turn. Sadly, the media wasn't willing to do much of anything except just be the lapdog for the mayor that kind of sleptwalked to re-election.
Sure. With the statue controversy and the ongoing scandals of his administration, I actually don't begrudge any journalist for not, focusing on the express bus routes and the potholes or anything like that. But I want to bring up another point, Kev, and something we had spoken about earlier today, is this new, on the opposite side, is this new public art that's at the CUNY John Jay College of Criminal Justice. This is a college that educates people with interest in a law enforcement career. The NYPD has a program there. The Department of Corrections has a program there. So that college has put up a display of artwork by people who are imprisoned in Guantanamo Bay. People who have a...
What? What did you... Wait, whoa. So the school that trains law enforcement in New York City has an art display in its lobby that is art made from terrorists that were housed at Gitmo?
Correct. Rewind that a minute. The school that had 67 proud alumni and faculty members, because there are so many first responders who get trained and teach there, 67 alumni perished on 9/11. And now you're going to have the successors of these people in the police department and the fire department and other law enforcement agencies who are there as students have to be confronted with artwork by people not even with a specious relationship to 9/11. You have a person there who was Khalid Sheikh Mohammed's right-hand man. And let's be clear about what this is. These paintings don't have an artistic value. They are, Bob Ross knockoffs, for lack of a better description of them. They're not there because they're something artistically amazing. They're there to make a political statement, and that political statement is, look how progressive and woke we are, that we can tolerate this type of behavior. And I don't even care that people in Guantanamo Bay are spending their time finger painting. As long as they're not, attacking our troops overseas, I don't frankly care what they're doing. But to display it at a college, a public college, I'm a CUNY professor.
Well, and to do this, Joe, and we're out of time, but to do this in light of the fact that the Columbus debate's going on is high hypocrisy. This is Kevin McCullough Radio.
All right, here's the great selling point of Relief Factor. Well, actually, the greatest selling point is that it works for the great majority of people who use it. But the big selling factor is really this. You can get all the pain relief benefits of Relief Factor without the negative side effects of ibuprofen. A couple of years ago, with great sciatic pain, I would take ibuprofen a lot, and it helped, but the side effects were so awful after a while that I just had to discontinue use. But that's not the problem with Relief Factor. So that's huge. So if you've been using any form of ibuprofen, now you don't have to with Relief Factor. Go to ReliefFactor.com, check out the pricing, and please give it a try because pain is pretty awful. Or call 800-500-8384. That's ReliefFactor.com.
Tired of dealing with dummies? Experience the smart way to buy a car at Route 22 Toyota. No hidden fees, no back and forth, no pressure, and no wasting time with dummies. Alex Cancella, the general manager, prides himself on his low lease offers and 0% APR financing for up to 72 months for qualified buyers. And now my buddy Alex wants you to experience their new smart way to service. He's taking the same smart approach that's been so successful in selling cars into the service bay. So he said, Joe, I'm going to let you give the first 5 callers in the next 5 minutes a free multi-point inspection and oil change and filter if they call 855-621-9949 and say Joe sent me. 855-621-9949 in the next 5 minutes. Get a free oil change and filter on me. 855-621-9949 and say this one's on Joe. Route 22 Toyota, Route 22 West in Hillside, New Jersey, or at Route22Toyota.com. Tell them Joe sent you for the free oil change. All European makes excluded.
Hi, Kevin McCullough. Have you ever had a legal question pertaining to elder law or estate law and wondered to yourself, what's the best course of action to take? Every Thursday during Kevin McCullough Radio at 5 o'clock on AM 970 The Answer, you'll hear Mike Connors of Connors & Sullivan Attorneys at Law answer a listener's actual question. If you have a legal question for Mike Connors, the Ask the Lawyer host, simply email the question to askmikeconnors@gmail.com or call the Legal Question of the Week phone line at 347-735-MIKE. That's 347-735-6453. And don't forget to tune in to Ask the Lawyer with Mike Connors every Saturday evening at 6 on AM 970 The Answer.
This holiday season, make the smart choice and switch to Sprint and get a new Samsung Galaxy S8, S8 Plus, Note 8, or S8 Active with 50% off your lease. That's right, the hottest Samsung devices 50% off. Plus, with Galaxy Forever, you can upgrade to the latest Galaxy anytime after 12 lease payments. And when you switch to Sprint, you get the best price for unlimited. $25 per month per line for a family of 4, plus get a 5th line free. That's 50% off Verizon, AT&T, and T-Mobile. You also get 10 gigabytes of mobile hotspot in HD, so you can stream your favorite holiday movies, music, and games. So stop by your local Sprint store, sprint.com/holiday deals, or call 1-800-SPRINT1 to learn more.
Requires 18-month lease and new line savings via monthly credit applied within 2 bills. Early termination results in remaining balance due after 1/31/19. Pay $38 a line per month with autopay. Excludes taxes, surcharges, and roaming. Compared to Verizon Beyond Unlimited rates, AT&T Unlimited Plus plan, and T-Mobile One Plus plan for 5 lines. Carrier features differ. Coverage and offer not everywhere. Subject to credit and $30 activation fee. Speed maximums, use rules, and restrictions apply.
Syracuse football. Heard exclusively on AM 970. The Answer. Happening in New York or across the globe. Learn why it matters first on Kevin McCullough Radio.
All right, very pleased to have you with us. It is a busy news day, and as we continue to think through the events of the times we live in and try to do that from a standpoint of obliterating confusion, amplifying truth, and pursuing clarity, we want to be intentional. We want to be on purpose with what we do and how we live, and I just don't think any downside to that. Actually, when you live life that way, I think it is a good outcome, at least a better outcome than doing the opposite, which is to kind of wander aimlessly without vision or accountability. We're on Mondays. We always purposefully look at the markets because it's a new day for your money each week. And David Fisher joins us from Landmark Capital to be able to discuss this. And we welcome him back after his Thanksgiving break. Hello, David.
How are you doing this afternoon, Kevin?
Good to have you back with us. We touched a little bit on earlier in the hour the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau lawsuit. Now there's two people trying to claim that they're running the place. It looks like Trump's appointee is going to stand, and this lawsuit's not going to go much of anywhere. But what do we know about Mr. Mulvaney and what he's going to bring to what appears to be a pretty chaotic world over at the CFPB?
Well, Mick Mulvaney, who serves as the head office of the management and the budget, clearly has experience to head up the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. I think what's really happening, and we're moving it more off a political venture and game of the previous administration and all the things that President Obama stood for, more about the people and American citizens and really protecting Americans, because with Mick Mulvaney at the head now and not the former Deputy Director,
right.
Leander English. I speak for a living, too, by the way. So we're seeing that there's a little bit of controversy because there's two statutes. One is the Dodd-Frank Act of 2010, which says that she should take over the helm, and then the previous statute called the Federal Vacancy Act, and passed in 1998, which gives the right for the president to install any person into this office. So I think the president has the say. He is the president, and I think he's going to win in this one.
No, I don't think there's any doubt about that. But let's talk about the CFPB for a second. It's been largely thought of as a real anathema to the average American consumer, which kind of runs counter to what it's called. It's hurt us more than it has helped us. It has buckled us with regulation and kept us from being able to do some things that might have even helped, recover from the recession and other things had it not been in place.
Yeah, think about that. All the money that the Federal Reserve created, almost $4 trillion, that funneled into banks that was supposed to be lent out to Americans to develop economic growth, which is what President Trump is wanting to do. The Consumer Financial Protection Agency was the roadblock for that, with all the restrictions they put on banks and upon people applying for loans in small businesses. So President Trump is doing the very thing that he campaigned upon, now getting this thing cleaned up.
Yeah, well, at least he's trying. We'll see where that goes. And according to Kayleigh McEnany at the top of the hour, there's a lot of thought that this is going to be handled in the courts very quickly because they're not going to be in favor of leaving this thing in the netherworld for very long. Let's talk a little bit about the Federal Reserve. Are they going to raise interest rates before the end of the year? Do you think they're likely to do that?
Well, according to the traders on Wall Street, 87% of them are saying we are going to have another quarter rate hike this year in the month of December, and then we're also going to continue with the multi-year rate hikes. But the market might not want that. It's not good for treasuries, obviously, and the
Sure.
Fed is the number one holder of treasuries. So there's a growing sentiment that says maybe the Fed actually might hold off because it does create a bubble and it enlarges the bubble that's already created in the treasury market, unfortunately.
Now, you've been talking about another bubble, the bond market bubble. Why does raising rates have such a negative effect on the Treasury, like you're saying?
Well, think of it this way. I'm referring to the bond as a treasury. That's what it really is. Bond yields going higher creates bond prices going lower. When bond prices go lower, then the bond market creates a bubble that can pop. And so if by the Fed raising rates, they're forcing themselves to sell these treasuries. Otherwise, they're going to lose money. And right now, there is $6.4 billion of funds that outflowed the U.S. bond market last week, which is the third largest in the history of our country. So there's a lot of big money coming out of the bond market, the treasury market, and this is confirming that it is forming a bubble. In fact, Jeffrey Gundlach and also another bond king is saying that we are definitely in a bond bubble, and if the Fed continues to raise rates, this will just impact it. We could see it pop. So that's a big concern, something we've been watching.
And as you just said, they're heavily invested in that, so it's unlikely that they're going to try to harm that. Hey, speaking of year-end, there's this big mass sale in precious metals going on. Tell us about that.
Well, it happens every year. It's driven by a wholesaler. Wholesalers are like you and I, Kevin. They're people that don't like to pay excess taxes. So instead of that, they rather discount their inventory, and we pass that savings off to clients here at Landmark Capital. It starts anywhere from the first week in December, usually ends in January 1st, although I've seen it gone on longer than that. The discounts are as small as 2% and as high as 28%, and I've seen it happen 22 out of the 25 years I've been doing this. So it's pretty much going to happen. Most of the time it happens between Christmas and New Year's, and it's pretty fast and furious. I would encourage people to call and learn more about that, and I also have a newsletter on that.
Sure. Well, that's in fact the brand new newsletter that just came out, The Fed's Influence, a Benefit or a Bubble. You can get all the information on that and find out what the year-end sale is on precious metals. 2 to 28%, that's a significant savings. And if you're thinking about protecting your portfolio, as you know from my own perspective, I think that there's nothing stronger than that, than metals. 844-604-2575 for more info. 844-604-2575. Get all the free literature, the changing directions and changing times, the coming bail-in, and the brand new newsletter, The Fed's Influence, a Benefit or a Bubble. David Fisher, thanks so much for being here.
Thank you, Kevin.
Stuck in traffic? We've got the answer.
A lot of stop and go in New Jersey on the eastbound side of Route 4 as you travel east of Route 17 right out towards Hackensack Avenue. In Hackensack, that's an accident blocking the left lane. 208 northbound jammed up from Route 4 up towards Fairlawn Avenue with a crash. By the way, the westbound side of Route 4 at Bell Avenue, that is a crash just coming into the traffic center. Left lane is reportedly out of service. Across the Hudson River, if you're trying to come into town, the George Washington Bridge, really not a bad ride. Back to New Jersey, broken down dump truck cleared to the upper level span. But now it looks like there's a fuel spill under the apartments. On the approach to the upper level, it looks like a truck is leaking fuel, and just that left lane is getting by. So you still want to use that lower level. Lincoln Tunnel, 20 minutes inbound, about 15 to 20 outbound. Holland Tunnel, 5 to 10 in, and 30 minutes back to New Jersey. And this is really making a mess of the Cross Bronx Expressway back to the Bruckner, the Deegan back to the RFK Triborough Bridge, the FDR back to the 30s, up to the George Washington Bridge. West Side Highway now, without doubt, because of this fuel spill under the apartments, your best bet. And now you know how not to go. I am Mike Barker on AM 970, The Answer.
Hi, Kevin McCullough. Have you ever had a legal question pertaining to elder law or estate law and wondered to yourself, what's the best course of action to take? Every Thursday during Kevin McCullough Radio at 5 o'clock on AM 970 The Answer, you'll hear Mike Connors of Connors & Sullivan Attorneys at Law answer a listener's actual question. If you have a legal question for Mike Connors, the Ask the Lawyer host, simply email the question to askmikeconnors@gmail.com or call the Legal Question of the Week phone line at 347-735-MIKE. That's 347-735-6453. And don't forget to tune in to Ask the Lawyer with Mike Connors every Saturday evening at 6 on AM 970 The Answer.
Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies.
I have been on these supplements from Balance of Nature for a couple of years now. And prior to that, I used other supplements. They did nothing for me. This has been absolutely wonderful. I have never felt so good, and I have felt so much better health-wise. My cholesterol's down. All my numbers are down, and it's been great. So I highly recommend Balance of Nature.
What are you waiting for? Good health is only a phone call away. Don't miss your opportunity to get a free month's supply of Balance of Nature. Call 1-800-2468-751. That's 1-800-2468-751. Call 1-800-2468-751. Or go online to balanceofnature.com.
Use promo code The Answer. That's promo code The Answer. Balance of Nature. Order today.
Are you a responsible person who finds yourself growing deeper in credit card debt? Then get ready for a toll-free number that will put you on a path to financial recovery. Trinity Debt Management will consolidate your accounts and work with your creditors. You'll save thousands and become debt-free for keeps. If your debt has you down, we should talk. Call Trinity at 1-800-990-6976. 1-800-990-6976. 1-800-990-6976.
Jay Sekulow live is next on AM 970. The Answer. What you need to know when you need it. It's Kevin McCullough Radio.
All right, Kevin McCullough. Very interesting day, of course. You get to hear Al Franken come out and apologize, but not apologize. He was even asked in his press conference if there was going to be a moment where he would actually say at some point in time that a line would be crossed and that should require him to, or any public figure, to actually step down. It's just interesting that he had this event and he refused to answer the question. Well, I'm not going to get into that, and I don't have any. And you know what I didn't notice today or this week? I didn't notice Saturday Night Live do any parody of Al Franken or John Conyers having issues with sexual assault. The week that the week that Judge Roy Moore's story broke, man, they had it all over there. But anyway, that more on that in the days to come, I'm sure. But I am reading this morning of this story at the FoxNews.com, and this was I don't know why it was surprising, but there is a major franchise that says that it is going to have to strengthen its policies after nearly 200 women have come forward with accusations of sexual assault against this franchise company's employees. Now, you would figure that if there was a franchise in America that had 200 women claiming that they had been sexually assaulted in their franchise, that they would probably just like close up shop. I mean, that's an epidemic at levels that you can't. It's hard to get your head around that. Scores of clients accused the employees of criminal behavior, including unwanted groping and fondling and sexual assault. The franchisees, the managers, have all been accused of mishandling and covering up the incidents. In one complaint, a customer said she was assaulted in 2015 in a very explicit way that I can't even describe on air because it was so invasive. The same person who complained later informed the manager about the behavior, only to be told that she was welcome to continue to discuss the incident with the person that actually did it. Oh, who was the franchise? The Massage Envy Massage Parlor franchise across the country.